can hear the compressor, if you hear me. Right, so this is a speed chip which I started trying to do last week, but the live streaming didn't seem to work last week, so I've been doing a few other projects and left this one so I can carry it on this week. So I kind of drawn around all the shapes, and it's all the Day of the Dead theme. Here, it's going to be woman with Day of the Dead makeup, and then we've got flowers and butterflies, candles, skulls going all the way around the edge of it. It's quite a big speed shape, so I can only get sections in it at a time. So tonight I'm going to concentrate on painting these flowers up. And this one's for KKBO. Because the theme for KKBO this year is Day of the Dead. So it might look like I'm doing nothing at the moment, but because I've drawn it out first in pencil, and I've got a lot of pencil marks on it. I'm just going around and just taking out some of those which are really quite prominent in some white paint. Just so it gives it a decay, not a primer, but almost like a base layer, so it's not as obvious. Now we're going to start with some colours. I'm going to start with sunflower one here, I think. I want this to have like a really fun style to it, almost like a tattooed look, I think, is what I'm going to go for. Quite a lot of this yellow colour, so I'm just kind of going around wondering where I can use it. Got a scroll shape here. That's going to be like old parchment paper, so some yellow for the darker areas of that will work well. this hourglass here, which will look quite good with some yellow silk sand inside. So we'll go for like a pinky colour next, I think. So I've just mixed some red into what was left of the orangey, yellowy, creamy colour. So it's going to give me like not a pure pink, but like a salmony type pink. I'll do one of these roses. So nothing at the moment's detailed. There is a lot of kind of blocks of colour I've got to get into this before I even start thinking about any detail. I'm just trying to build up kind of a map of where my colours are going to be, because it's going to be quite a bold, very colourful piece. I'm just kind of putting down blocks of base colour for now. Just pulling up my reference photos. I really like to work from a reference. Some of this was sketched out without a reference, but I'll still go in and find a reference now. It helps you keep the proportions. Also, it's a good source of like inspiration as well. So all these skulls around here, which are really kind of basically drawn at the moment, they're going to be like a really kind of vibrant cartoony version of the skull. Just want it kind of going all the way around the edge. There's a lot of detail in them. There's lots of flowers on them, leaves, dots, things like that. So again, I'm just kind of looking out where colours and flowers will go on these. But there's absolutely no detail into them at the moment. Don't really want like matching colours next to each other on these skulls, because then they'd all look a bit kind of too similar. So I'm kind of going to go with, got like an orangey one going on here, and then leave one, do another orangey one. Right, so next I think we're going to go purple colour, so I'm going to wash this colour out. Just kind of backwashing it. And then dumping the colour out, which was in there. And yeah, yeah, we're going to go like a probably a purpley colour. I'm going to do this rose like a purpley colour, this one over the other side, and I want this flower here blue, so we'll start with blue, and then we'll add some pink into that to get the purpley colour. I'm aware I'm kind of off camera and I'm doing that, but all I'm doing is putting my colours into the top of the airbrush, mixing them through so it bubbles up and mixes the colours. Do a little bit more blue. The other way to do that is just kind of like mix it with a paintbrush. Probably the safer way to do it, because then you're not forcing the paint back through your airbrush. Right. So we'll paint in this one here. Still got some orange in the airbrush. It's amazing how much paint can be kind of stored in this little bit here. So yeah, nothing precious about this at the moment. Put some blue in the candles just because it gives it the white, a much whiter look once it's blended in, and the butterfly is going to be a purpley blue colour, I think. In fact, there's a gorgeous colour blue butterfly flies around outside. So I might Google that one. Pretty cat. And paint that one. It's a beautiful kind of neon blue colour. And now I've got some of the blue left. I'm going to go and just do some of these skulls around the edges. Just put some kind of, just so I know my colour's going to go. all I'm doing is I'm just scrolling between a few different of the reference photos I've got, because there's so much going on here. I'm trying to kind of move between them all. It's really difficult to just keep one kind of reference on screen. So we have our purple. A bit purple on the butterfly. I mainly want purple here for this rose. So where I'm putting blobs of colour on these skulls, it basically, when I go back in with my detail layers, these will become flowers. So we've only one layer on and some zero detailing. You can see how I've kind of blocked out some of my colours for this bottom bit now anyway. And the reason I've done it this way is because there's so much going on here. I need my colours to kind of remind me where I want to be adding stuff and what I want to be doing. Otherwise I'd be constantly kind of thinking, right, what's going on with this layer, what am I working on? Whereas when I start with a really busy project like this and I just put the colours in place, it helps me kind of go, right, okay, so this is this flower, this is a candle, this is this flower. Even though by the time I've finished, most of these layers will be completely covered. So just gone in with some white now, and I'm going to go back through the flowers, put some white bits in, and that's kind of the base for the next layer. So I think for this, I'm going to pull up some pictures of some sunflowers and some roses. Cats, your help is not required. I've got my reference picture here for the sunflowers. cat's trying to help me. Requires 0 cat help for you. Yeah, this is why I don't have a studio cat. But yeah. Help not needed. You're looking at my KKBO work. Oh, yeah. Just trying to get some highlights into this flower. Not really highlights. I suppose every time I pick up white paint and paint it, I kind of think I'll highlight, but it's not always to first couple of layers for it to be anywhere near a highlight. And it's just where the lighter parts are eventually going to go. And same with the butterfly. So, I'll probably work on this in sections. I think I'm going to do this bottom section first, then the actual sugar skull woman, and then the skulls around the edges, because I think trying to go between them all is just going to be too chaotic. So if I try and concentrate on this section with the flowers for tonight, and just try and build up some of the colours so you can see what's going on, that's probably going to be my best option. It's just too big a piece to be kind of jumping around absolutely every bit of it. Let's go for a it's like a slaty blue colour rather than a pure blue colour. Right, so rose reference. Roses, I find really difficult to draw these without a reference. So if I'm drawing roses, I always have a reference. It's kind of just, even if it's not the same colour or exactly the same shape or exactly the same amount of petals, I like to have a reference because there's just so much going on. There's like so many layers and shadows and highlights and stuff. Without a reference, it just becomes a bit chaotic and looks very cartoony when I do them anyway. So I've put a bit of the slate blue through, so it's got 3 layers on this now. I've just lightened it up so it's even lighter. I'm just going to try and get the edges of this. Building rose petals to look 3D can be quite a challenge. Especially when you're doing the back layers and then you want to do this kind of front layer, which would then be covering that. So you've got to know where to kind of stop. So on this one, instead of drawing the whole petal, because I know there's going to be a petal here, I'll just stop there. So it's kind of remembering to look at the whole picture. And as you can see, my guide was this black line here, and I'm not following the guide at all. The first black kind of layer of guide, those squiggly circles, that was just to remind me that that's where I wanted a rose over any other flower. And it's not at all, so none of these lines here are accurate as to where I'm going to put the petals. That was just my squiggly guideline to say this one's a rose, same as this one, so this orange one here. The squiggly circle reminds me to do a rose there, but it is not going to look anything like that by the time I get into the layers. And the orange, again, is the colour, just so I know that, oh, I want an orangey coloured rose there. When I get into actually doing the rose, it won't be anywhere near that colour or that look. Oh, here, no cats required. The cat's literally got his head right in front of my reference surface. So I'll bring my work home with me. It'll be so much easier. Forgot about the cats. So this is an interesting petal. So this one's going round a corner. So I've drawn the top of the petal here, but then obviously it curves and comes back on itself. So I've done the top of it there, but then we've got highlight going down here and highlights going down here. So it's just remember the direction where remember the direction which the highlights are, which light's travelling. I know I've started to do like some waves, but I don't really normally put the proper wavy, petally marks in until in the last few layers. All I'm doing is just adding in a new petal. Back ones and front ones are easy. It's these ones which go around the sides which are not. And then just making sure the tops have got more light catching them, more of a highlight. And the bottoms of them more shadows. And that's kind of it for this first kind of real layer of it. Obviously it ends up in mid-tones and a lot more going on later down the line, but for now this is all I do for the first few layers of drawing a rose. Start a bit. It won't look like it when it's finished. I've got another blue one around here. Just find a reference for this one. This one's kind of like tucked on the edge. It's got a lot less petals, so I'll go with this one. This one's going to be more like a rosebud, which is just starting to open up. Which is a bit easier to draw because all the petals are so close together, you only really see the very, very edges. So again, just kind of throwing some colour on there to start with. And then this blue butterfly, well, I've got this colour, I've still got quite a bit of colour in there. So grab a reference for blue butterfly. Oh, I've got a really cool idea for this one. So I've just seen this reference for a really cool butterfly which has like the underneath of its wings are a brown colour with spots on top of it a bright blue. So I'm going to use that because it's Day of the Dead, I'm going to put some Day of the Dead skulls on the underneath instead of spots. I think that'll look pretty cool. So I'm just kind of scrolling through at the moment, just looking for a random butterfly on the references, which is like roughly facing the same direction with the wings in the same kind of orientation. So the undersides are going to be this like browny slate colour now. I'll do the back ones that have like a peachy-blue kind of skull, or do I put skull on these ones? Choices. Design changes on the go. So you probably notice while I'm doing this, whenever I'm using blue, any leftover of blue keeps going on the candles. It's because the candles are white, but if you paint them white, they'll look very flat. Whereas if I put some of my blues and slate colours, grey colours, or all the colours really through it, I tend to do this with black as well. Gives it a lot more definition. And that's what I see in blacks and whites anyway, is just lots of colour. So let's get this red rose here. I think that'll be for tonight's one. It's just more of a test to get the thing back up and working, because it's just been playing up the past few weeks. And I want to do a live from the German show, so I wanted to make sure it was working from a different location than the studio. Right, so I'm going to go in with the dark red, so I'm going to mix some black, probably not, some, I'll mix a tiny drop of green into the red, which will kind of, red and green's the opposite of red, so it will tone it down. Darken it off and muddy it up a bit, but without making it harsh like a black would. And it's not a lot of green going into there, it's just a drop really, just to tone it down. But I want my rose references back again. So whereas the last one I was going around doing highlights, this one's more of just a base colour for now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep stepping up the colour so it gets brighter and brighter. So I've got like my darkest colour in there now. Mix the paint a bit brighter. Bring some mid-tones into that really quickly. And then a bit brighter again. Right, now this colour's more probably like a highlight colour. So coming out like a really blue colour, so I'm going to just put a bit of yellow in it. And that's not because there's any blue in it, it's just because there's so much white in for the highlights that's sitting on top of the red, it's going like a blue colour. these two flowers I've got here, they're just kind of the edges you can see. I don't really want them to be roses. I know the Day of the Dead theme's kind of quite rose heavy. I just don't want to paint that many roses. So I want it to look different as well. So I want to try and find some more kind of flowery things. I've got sunflower. I think they're called a dahlia. I think the blue one in the centre with all the petals. I've got a lot of foliage in there, so I'm going to go in some green. time are we on? Quarter past. I think I'll get to 1/2 past, and then I'll call that a night. And it gives me enough time to see if my testers work. Because this one's more of a test for us. Seeing if it would work properly, see if the sound and the video are any good this time. Because we've been trying to perfect that for a while. And also seeing if it will paint and pick up a recording outside of the studio as well. So that I can do this from the show. The one thing I haven't got this time is my chat. Oh yeah. So I haven't been able to see if anyone's actually online. Probably a good time to stop anyway, because my airbrush is not behaving tonight at all. Wouldn't be able to get anywhere near detail level. I need to stop and clean it out really. Clearly something stuck in the nozzle of it. I'm not doing anything detailed at the moment. I'm just throwing some colour on here now, just to make sure that this whole setup's working. So this I want to look like glass around the hourglass, so all the time. So glass, although it's see-through, has lots of colours in it. And make it look see-through with reflections later on. Another kind of dead giveaway that's got some clogging going on is when I'm finishing on a dagger stroke, every now and again I'm getting like a blob of colour, so that's obviously it's finding some colour in the end of it somewhere. I'm trying to remind myself not to try and do any details because it's pointless, so I'll just throw out some splatters or random colours that I try and do that. Right, so these are the seeds for the sunflower immediately after saying no details. Not very detailed. And they're not going to be bright white, but I'll go in with another colour over the top. So it will hide the brightness. Build up the layers. I'm trying to be really random where I put these, I don't want them to look uniform.